Good evening, fellow neighbors. Rotonda West, Inglewood, Venice. I'm meteorologist Mark Torregrossa. I own a company called FarmerWeather.com, ag weather company. I work for MLive.com, seventh most trafficked website in the country for local news. Meteorologist 35 years, so keeping my neighbors updated on my interpretation for right in our area. Inglewood, Rotonda West, Placida, Cape Hayes, Venice, so to speak. So, what I see, we've had some encouraging news. I don't see much change, and if it was like encouraging like this, now my meter has gone back to this or this. I was saying that Rotonda West, probably easily 60 mile an hour gusts to maybe 80 mile an hour gusts. I'd probably now kick the 60 out, and I'd probably go 70 to 90, somewhere in there. The storm surge will be the biggest issue, and the official forecast calls for 6 to 10 feet of storm surge. I'm not a storm surge expert, so I don't know exactly how that's going to work everywhere, but I have something lined up for you on that. All right, so, we got to start with staring at the machine, Hurricane Milton, and I think, right now it looks very ominous, but I think where this will come in is as it gets close to us, if you're used to looking at this image, we are going to very likely see some weakening as it approaches the coast. And there are some things in the models that the models may not have correctly. And if there's a little bit more of this dry air, a little bit more of this shear, maybe it weakens some more than what we expect. It still will likely be a major hurricane as it hits the coast. All right, let's look at the discussion. Maximum sustained winds, 180 miles an hour. Yes, that is a Category 5. And as far as I remember, they don't make a Category 6. All right. I like this. This is one thing I like that, you don't see very often. This is the wind, speed, and size breakdown. So we are looking for it to come on shore somewhere between 8 p.m. Wednesday night and 2-3 a.m. Thursday morning. Okay, so here I've got this 18Z forecast from the 9th showing up. And what I like about this is they show you how big they think the steady hurricane winds of 75 miles an hour will be. And they think from the eye it'll be that 75 mile an hour steady wind will extend out 40 miles to the southeast. So just remember that. We need the eye to be 40 miles to the northwest of us or more for us to be out of the steady hurricane winds. They do forecast at landfall maximum winds 125 knots, that'd be 135 miles an hour, and gusts to 160. So it is a real hurricane. Rotonda West is just on the very edge. Venice, you're in it quite a bit more. Sarasota, solidly into it. I would say Venice and Sarasota are solidly into the 100-mile plus gusts. And it's a southwest to west wind still. Nothing has changed there. So it is definitely a storm surge situation. We'll look at that too here in just a minute. I don't think we have any new discussion yet. No, we don't. Let's look at the official forecast. And remember, that is usually one of the best forecasts is the official forecast. Let me get the track on here. and you can see that now. So they continue to show the storm center in the northern part of Tampa Bay. And they do have something interesting in the discussion. Let's see if I can go back to that and find it. So just remember that. I'll zoom in here and you'll get the idea on that. They have the storm on Tampa Bay, and you know, that would be very helpful for Rotonda West. That would be some 70-mile-an-hour gusts, maybe some 80, maybe not 90. Okay. Venice, you'd be in the 70, 80, 90, maybe 100. I want to go back to one thing here on the discussion. Let's see. I'm sorry, right here, discussion. Very important thing. I'll read it to you. They talk about the track. Little change was made to the previous forecast, with the latest model guidance very close to the previous forecast cycle, and this forecast remains close to a consensus of the latest GFS, that's U.S. model, European, and regional hurricane models. I'm going to show you all 4 of those. Note that this track is closer to the model fields. I figured out what they mean. Model wind fields rather than the model tracks, which appear to be too far south. And I'm going to show you that. The tracks, the spaghetti strings of the tracks, you're like, uh-oh. And I was like, uh-oh, because they come through Sarasota and Venice, the tracks. And I thought, oh, it shifts south. But the wind fields still stay north on the models. So let's look at that. All right, so here we go. Here's the European. You're looking at the wind gusts off the European. And here we go in the forecast. So there is our hurricane making the turn toward the northeast. And you've been watching this with me for a couple of days now. And the European still consistent with the wind field and the center coming to about Clearwater. Okay, so if we back it up to on the European to when it gets nasty. So this is 9 o'clock on Wednesday. We're a southeast wind in Rotonda West, and we go to 1 a.m. Thursday, and right there is about the strongest gusts on the European, and the European would say 70-mile-an-hour gusts in Rotonda West. It would say the pink, which is 100 to 120 mile an hour gusts, would be to our north. And then it would say that we would continue in a windy condition into Thursday morning. This is 10 in the morning. We'd be on a west northwest wind, pounding the ocean into us with gusts at 55 miles an hour still, and probably wouldn't die down substantially till we get to Thursday afternoon. That's a little slower than what we've seen. Okay, now what we're looking at here is the maximum wind gust forecast off of the European. It just kind of adds up at any one location what the strongest wind is going to be. Let's see here. Again in knots, so you got to add, you got to times it times 1.1, basically. So we like this because the peak winds on this one off of the European. Now this is the 12Z run. We don't have the 0Z run yet. We won't have that till about 2 in the morning. I'm going to be in bed. But the European here would be, 58 knots. That would be 65 to 70 mile an hour gusts. And again, south side of Rotonda West, where we live, Cape Hayes windward, has less wind than the north part of the Rotonda Circle. It has less wind than the Inglewood area. has less wind than Venice, has less wind than Sarasota, probably in any of the scenarios. Here's the GFS, the US model, and we're looking at the wind gusts. Now, we don't like that right there. So same timing, 8 p.m., midnight. By the way, high tide, 5:30 in the morning on Lemon Bay. So this is pretty good timing if it comes early, that it's not at high tide. But this right here would represent 72 knot gusts, Rotonda West to 80 knots. So you're talking 80 to 90 miles an hour on the GFS. It's same kind of track. It's just got a little bit wider of a wind field and then breaks it down a little bit quicker. What do I have here? Okay, this is what they're talking about, the tracks. So these are the latest tracks of various models. Let's see. And, they're further south than the eyes that you saw in the wind field. So that's what they're talking about, is the tracks, but notice the consensus. So this is starting to come in line in a consensus. We just need it to weaken. We need it to shift northward. Here is the regional hurricane model. And right there is 5 o'clock and then 8 o'clock. So this regional model says 8 o'clock Wednesday is when the action happens. It has that pendant of brown. Those are 70 knot gusts, which again are 80 miles an hour, down to Rotonda West. This has been one of the best models. So that's why I'm saying, my voice, a little more wind. Which obviously means a little more storm surge. Sounds like my wife just dropped a box of marbles upstairs. I don't know what happened there. So Thursday morning, and then quicker moving off to about 11 a.m. on Thursday. Pretty well done. So I'm not a surge expert. They're saying 6 to 10 feet. Does that bring the water in? What I found here is a surge model, and this is a 50% chance of something happening. So what you see is the dark blue along Cape Hayes Drive. There's a 50% chance that we will get up to a 3-foot surge. That does nothing, Cape Hayes Drive. Then you see the lighter, medium colored blue is a 3 to 5 foot, 50% chance into parts of the southeast part of Rotonda West. And then you see toward Englewood of 50% chance of 5 to 7 foot, and the green Minnesota Key a 50% chance of 7 to 9 foot. And that's where you get your 6 to 10 foot storm surge in the forecast. So we are just going to have to wait and see, folks. Right now, I think we would be okay, but not a storm surge expert. So let's look at a couple of good things, right? This storm will very likely be in a weakening state as it comes toward the shore. And this is something that can happen in a 3 to 6 hour time period pretty rapidly. I don't think it can weaken and say go away. I could think it could take every forecast down maybe 10, maybe 20 miles on the gust. So if you're looking at Venice, Sarasota, thinking 100 to 120 mile an hour gusts, it could weaken, bring it down to 80 to 100. Rotonda west, we're talking 70 to 90 mile an hour gusts. It could weaken, bring it down to maybe 50 to 70. Why? Shear and dry air. And these things, the models know how to forecast them pretty good. But a hurricane, if it just hits it right, can zap it some. So let's go back to that. So this is the wind. This is the wind aloft. This is the wind. Dang it. I just shut her down. Hold on a second. I've been doing that. Bear with me. Oh, let's see. Bear with me a second. Okay. So this is the wind forecast at about 30,000 feet up. Hurricanes do not like wind working against them. So what you see there is on Tuesday, tomorrow, you see northern Florida, those greens, those are 75 knot winds aloft, 85 miles an hour. Just imagine something circulating counterclockwise and the wind trying to go against it. So we're at Wednesday morning. That's a lot of shear for a hurricane to deal with. We got upper level winds, folks, and that is a good thing. Look at, this would be noon on Wednesday. Look at that again. It could zap the hurricane. And yeah, the shear lets up a little bit, but it's still close enough to be there. Now, let me show you, let's see if I get it off of this panel. I might have to go to, yeah, just a second. Let me go back to the European. And I want to show you the dry air. No, I do want to show you the dry air. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. So this is the relative humidity at about 10,000 feet up. And we go to Wednesday morning, 8 a.m. And you can kind of just see how this is at 8 p.m. when the storm is hitting. See dry air coming into southern Florida? You might say, well, it's not in the storm, but it's around the storm, and it helps. It may be a little too late, but this could also be off. And what if this tongue of dryness is into there just as it makes shore? It would be, potentially rapidly weakening if that were the case. So let me give you a summary of what I'm feeling like right now. We don't have the 0Z models in yet, but I'm feeling like this is a real storm for Rotonda West. 70, we better kick it to 70 to 90 mile an hour gusts. We do have the official 6 to 10 foot storm surge forecast. That's probably Minnesota Key. Certainly it's not the Rotonda West Circle, certainly. But my neighborhood, Cape Hayes, closer, Coral Creek, that could come up. We don't have a lot of history on storm surges into Coral Creek. Certainly Englewood, Minnesota Key, Lemon Bay, that's going to be pretty bad. It's probably going to be, we're thinking that Helene was a 4 to 5 foot storm surge there. It's probably going to be, 6 to 8. So it's probably going to be 1 to 3 feet higher than it was with Helene. And then as you go northward, of course, it gets worse. So this is a real deal. And we just got to pray, keep our fingers crossed, hope for a little more drift to the north, hope for some more weakening. and hope we don't have a whole lot of damage. That's the best I can tell you. What I can tell you is there is not a lot of wonkiness in the modeling. It's not here, then there, then here, then there. You've seen it's starting to focus on eye coming on shore somewhere between Sarasota and Tampa. It's the best I can do for you. That's your update from me, Mark Torregrossa from farmerweather.com, and resident at times of the Rotonda West area. So take care and go ahead and share. I'll keep you updated tomorrow. Let's just go to bed, say prayers, and hope for good news and changes tomorrow. Take care.